Good evening and welcome back to the Star Trek Critic. Today we are going to analyze this side of paradise. The Enterprise crew goes to a planet bombarded by dangerous Berthold rays, expecting to find a failed colony, but they have a few surprises. The backstory is the colony went there not knowing the real danger of Berthold rays, which just dissolve animal tissue after prolonged exposure. Kirk is concerned about 150 colonists. Spock's answer is not optimistic at all. Uhura only gets static, and Spock says they can go down for a limited time, and Painter finds the settlement. The first point is lost because the captain and first officer both beam down together. It needs to be one or the other. Obviously, they didn't watch The Next Generation. At first, they see an abandoned farm like they were expecting, but then they are surprised by the men from the colony. Sandoval says the radio went out, which is why they lost contact, and doesn't want to hear why Kirk is really there. Spock points out that with the radiation they shouldn't be alive. Sulu thinks they are zombies. Ironically, 300 years in the future, the best type of farmhouse for a colony 1,000 light years from Earth will be a 200-year-old frame house. And here we meet Layla, an old flame of Spock's. Unfortunately, she has never met him on his 7th year, so she never gets lucky. But today, she has a magic pill that is going to throw his calendar way off. McCoy is here to do medical examination. Sandoval is fine with that and starts preaching his back-to-basics philosophy. But why would somebody take a spaceship for a year just to live like the Amish? Another point is lost here. Well, actually 2 points. Sulu started the series as a botanist, so he should notice that unusual plant right in front of him. And the second point is lost since he says 2 feet. And 300 years from now, we should be completely on the metric system, especially if you are in Starfleet. Here's a problem. If there are no cows, why is there hay? If you want to get technical, barns can be built for storage and not just animals. That comment's just foreshadowing to notice that there aren't any animals on this planet at all. McCoy is concerned that they are too healthy. This sounds familiar. Then there's the lack of animals that were brought along with the colonists 3 years ago. Sandoval says this is the best farming planet you can find, but DeSalle says they really aren't producing that much for a farming community. McCoy breaks doctor-patient confidentiality by telling Kirk everything Sandoval used to have. However, I can't take a point this time because Bones sees an incredible red flag in everybody's health and has to bring it up to the captain. And you would think that after 300 years of science, you wouldn't have to remove tonsils anymore. But all he has to do is stay on this planet for a while and they will magically grow back. Here comes the love scene. Don't worry, Spock, we all have the same problem. Layla spouts philosophy while Spock spouts logic. He really knows how to set the mood. This comment isn't true at all, but I don't think I will take a point for it. Can she say that on network TV? Spock's like, did she just say what I thought she said? Kirk is now in the position of doing a forced relocation of the colonists. Can he actually do that? Kirk is required by PETA to ask this question, and Sandoval now should really say that they are vegans and not vegetarians. Layla describes to Spock what they found. Spock says it used to be called a happiness pill. And yes, Spock, that's exactly what it was called. But no, Spock, it actually is possible. Just watch Star Trek Discovery. She said it again. And there goes Spock, the first to be zapped by the spores. And of course the reason? A scorned woman wants revenge. Sorry, Spock, I feel your pain. It's happened to all of us. So is Layla getting Spock to become one of the colonists as a plot to bring the whole crew down? Or is she just using the spores as a love potion to win over her lost love? We will never know. And what's worse, she now threw his calendar off. 1 point is lost here, mansplaining to the audience what they think we forgot before the commercial break. McCoy wants to do it the old-fashioned way. Just how many starbases are there? Does each planet in the Federation have a starbase with a different number on it? Or are they space stations? They will never tell. Actually, it looks like a communicator. Here comes the comedic scene of the show, and one of the few times you can see Spock look at the clouds, be insubordinate to Kirk, and then a little comedy sketch between Kirk and McCoy. Kirk says he doesn't want anyone left alone, and then leaves McCoy alone. Here you see colonists who are helping with the evacuation. Either they didn't get the memo from Sandoval, or secretly they are helping Leslie get the spores beamed up to the Enterprise. And of course, DeSalle makes sure the landing party gets spored before they realize the plants are dangerous. This is something they weren't expecting. Not only is Spock hanging from a tree, he is in a jumpsuit. But he didn't change out of his uniform to be one of the colonists. This is 60s TV saying that he and Layla had sex, so he had to change. She's thinking, ha ha, Kirk, I got you good. Somehow I don't think this is going to happen. The spores don't have much of a range, but the effect is instant, as you can see with Sulu. The spores that took over McCoy also have a southern accent. This is why you don't mix drugs in the military. Just look at how happy Lieutenant Uhura is, and she just destroyed the communication system. You'd think the spores would have wanted her to send a signal that would lure more ships into the system, but they didn't. Kirk throws one of the spores. The spore rears its head like a cobra. And no, they aren't waiting to go to the bathroom. They took that happiness pill and are heading to the surface to be happy vegan zombies. I usually take points for captain's logs after commercial breaks, but this one explains how the spores infected the crew so fast. See, here is proof you need drugs to influence people to run off and be vegans. He knows why. He was just too far away. And here it is. Dr. McCoy grew his tonsils back. That was fast, too. Or else the spores have made him so happy he'll say anything right now. As you can see, his only concern right now is that mint julep. I'd really like to have this set of coffee mugs in my collection. And one point is lost right here, since it would have been impossible for Kirk to beam up to the ship and back down like this, and then go back up to the ship. There is just too great of a risk of him being stranded, so either these two scenes should have been switched, or this scene should have been the video conference. The spores don't seem to take over your mind, they simply make you too happy to leave the planet. This is the real reason Kirk transported back down to the surface, to make his speech to the drug-induced vegan zombies. He already knows the answer to this one. Before Kirk gets comfortable, he has to let out a really good fart. This captain's log is correct, since it might be the last one he leaves, so it does have to have a lot of details that we already know. Look closely. Nothing is over here on the floor right now, but now the plant appears and it magically moves, so -1 point. Kirk is stoned. Look at that. Kirk loses a point here. Not only is he packing a uniform he doesn't need, he is using 300-year-old Samsonite luggage. Just look at that happy smile on his face. Is it because of the spores, or is this simply 1960s product placement for Samsonite luggage? Are Kirk's emotions getting the spores out of his system, or is he experiencing some really good oral copulation? We will never know. And although the purpose of this log is to talk to the audience, a real ship's captain would do this as well, in case his plan goes bad and the log is all that is left, Black Box style. Kirk's plan works, but he is nasty. Probably the longest tirade against Spock, his family, his mother, his planet, and anything else he could think of. Please tell your children never to repeat anything Kirk says to Spock in this scene. Spock was more than patient before he lost his cool, and now he's going to beat the shit out of Kirk. -1 point for obvious stuntmen. Now for some comic relief. Here is the plan. Of course, Spock is being logical and says he needs to go to jail. In reality, Spock is doing this so Kirk can't use it against him later on. He's letting himself off the hook. Layla wants to see Spock. She is full of it when she says she's never seen a starship before. Or has she forgotten that she spent an entire year on one just to get to the planet? Kirk is concerned this might cause more problems. Layla is really high maintenance. She spent 3 years around spore-happy vegans. She should have been able to find someone more compatible to her than Spock. Now she goes on a mushy speech, but the spores can't handle the drama, and they're gone. The spores have turned Spock into Popeye. I really don't know what he's talking about here. We do learn a little about Spock. He has another name, and he tells us about his parents, who we will meet later on the series. But he doesn't tell us that he has a half-brother, or now a human sister that supposedly caused a war with the Klingons. The purpose of the signal is to piss off everybody. Not only did they mutiny, they're now involved in a giant drunken bar brawl. One important reminder, never interrupt a country doctor and his mint julep. But without the spores, McCoy throws away a perfectly good drink on a hot day. The spores may be able to provide overwhelming happiness, but they are pretty easy to get out of your system. And once the spores are gone, no one wants to get off the planet quicker than Sandoval. So when they got to the planet, it was green. Now that they are leaving, the planet is brown. Is this symbolism of what happened? Probably bad editing instead, so minus 1 point. And as the show ends, McCoy becomes philosophical, Kirk gives another speech, and Spock laments that he was happy. And this side of paradise gets a whopping score of 91%. And now, thanks to Layla, Spock will have to wait another 7 years just to get laid. So who lived in paradise, also known as Omicron Ceti 3? Jill Ireland has 50 screen credits to her name and was married to Charles Bronson. Unfortunately, she had a long struggle against breast cancer and lost at the age of 54. And Frank Overton was in The Twilight Zone and To Kill a Mockingbird. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack only a week before this episode aired at the age of 49. That's all for now. Click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I will see you again real soon.